Congo and Rwanda are calling for peace. The two presidents were seen sitting together in a room. But the most interesting thing, they're not doing this in the African continent. They had to go all the way to UAE in Qatar, Doha, to call for peace. Does that make sense to you as a person, looking at it from a lens where, as Africans, we have been saying we need African solutions for African problems? To me, it raises a lot of questions. This shows that the Gulf influence is rising. The African house still remains in disarray, and Doha has just quietly pulled a diplomatic show-off. Because the Westerners, the African nations, the African Union, EAC, IGAD, all these nations have been trying to quell the fight that has been going on in the larger region of Congo and DRC and Rwanda, but the peace calls are coming from the Gulf nations. So DRC's President Félix Tshisekedi and Rwanda's Paul Kagame have called for an immediate ceasefire in eastern DRC after having direct talks with Qatar. President Kagame has been big. Again, that's why I asked this question in the beginning. Kagame has been so big calling on African solutions, yet he turns out to Qatar for mediation of African problems. To me, that's very, very questionable. So the question is, how does this move of going to Qatar to look for peace leave EAC SADC summit that was supposed to happen? To me, I'm questioning. I think they're either surprised or they are disappointed. And these are ahead of the upcoming leaders summit, because most of the people will wonder, we've been trying to negotiate for peace, but these people have refused to sit together at any point. But now suddenly, because someone from UAE has called them, they showed up. I mean, the call for peace is across, but it begs the question, do we have trust issues with our very own fellow Africans, or do we not trust them at all? So that's very, very interesting. And then this is the first time the two leaders have met since the Rwanda-backed M23 rebels stepped up an offensive insurgents in the region, which happened it's in January. And as of now, the parties like UN say that over 7,000 people have been killed since January when it happened. So Qatar's foreign minister released a joint statement on Tuesday, which had the two African presidents reaffirm their commitment to an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. But it was not clear how that is going to happen, and or even how it's going to be implemented, or what are the steps they are taking towards monitoring that. So talks in the Gulf nation took place after M23, just a day after M23 representative had actually pulled out of a peace process that was happening in Angola. Angola is the nation that has been pushing, leading these peace talks. So when the M23 walked out and decided we are not attending that meeting, then now these presidents are seeing in Qatar. That raised a lot of questions. So it's unclear whether M23 will be in agreement with this idea of pulling out, or they will stop sending troops to support the rebels in the conflict. Which, on the other hand, reminds me that Rwanda has totally denied that they don't support the M23, despite assertions from both the UN and the US, citing they have evidence of how this happens. But Rwanda to date has said, we do not support that. So in December 2024, peace talks were brokered by Angola, and this time they collapsed after Rwanda demanded that DR Congo government needs to directly talk to the M23. So when that didn't happen, this led to the January war, that insurgents that happened. Since the attack that happened in January, the M23 group have advanced, and so far they've captured 2 cities in DRC, that is Goma and Bukavu, and that has happened in about 2 months. So earlier this week, the European Union imposed sanctions on some of the group's senior members. In addition, European Union earlier this week also imposed sanctions on some of the group's senior members, and EU issued sanctions on 3 of the Rwandan military commanders and the country's mining agency chief, citing that all these are in support of the M23. So the question, of course, that comes to mind is, what next after this has happened? I mean, everyone is holding their breath, watching to see if, number one, President Kagame and Tshisekedi will have a face-to-face meeting in Africa again, or it will have to go to the UAE to watch. So we are watching to see that. Number two, what are the steps that are going to guide this ceasefire? And is it actually going to happen? So that's something that everyone is watching. Number 3 is to see how UAE pushes for this. Like, are they going to be directly involved? If they're involved, what are the terms and conditions of operation? So those are the key things that people are watching. And also, shall we get to a point where we fully agree that it's African solutions to African problems? What steps shall we take? The AU has since released a statement saying that a step towards peace is a step towards the right direction. But now how will the engagement be between African Union, EAC, SADC, IGAD, all these parties involved, including now UAE? How will that lead to peace? Only time will tell. But overall and above, we wish peace for the DRC. We pray that this war between DRC and the M23 comes to an end, and it comes to an end with terms that add value to both nations, actually, because bottom line, the people of Congo cannot be the richest country with the poorest population. That needs to come to an end as soon as possible. So yeah, that's what is happening, and you can share with us in the comment section your take on that, how you feel this process will go, and if you're part of DRC or Rwanda, also share with us as people who are living there, what are the conversations that are ongoing, and what do you hope for anytime soon if something is to happen. Yeah, thank you for watching Geopolitics 411. We'll see you on the next episode. The world is fast-paced and sometimes you miss the action. What perspectives do you have? What is the truth? Is the world at war? Join me, Sarah Mwangi, as we make sense of the information overload.